Right lads, I'm your host, Man And His Kebab, and before we get into this video, I just have a few things to say. First off, officially, this is my 100th video on this channel, which is of course a big milestone. I say officially because there's a few videos that are just, gone. So to celebrate this, I've done I changed my background, that's about it. And alongside this, I know a lot of you are new to this channel, so I'd like to take this time to thank you for your newfound support, and of course a big thank you to my long-time subscribers who've stuck up with my, very inconsistent upload schedule. Now for the actual topic of this video, and welcome back to Videogame Versus, the series where we pit two games against each other and decide which one is better. Occasionally we get a draw too, but not this time. Of course the winner is decided through straight facts, and definitely not just my opinion. And today we have we've quite a controversial lineup, or at least a lineup that's gonna create controversy. It's not controversial as it stands. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 and Call of Duty Black Ops 2. Why these two in particular? Well, these two are often cited as the two best Call of Duty games ever released, being all around great through their campaigns, multiplayers, and alternative modes. And alongside that, of course, being two of the best selling games in the series. This matchup is bound to divide opinions. I've kind of come to accept that after doing this series for over a year. So with that, I'll be comparing these two games using their three modes: campaign, multiplayer, and again, alternative mode, i.e. Spec Ops for Modern Warfare 2 and Zombies for Black Ops 2. Of course, each of these modes will have their separate topics, which is where the points will be decided. And with all that said, let's just get straight into this lineup. The plot of these two games are of course war stories. This is Call of Duty after all, but the key difference between the two of them is their setting. Both games explore war between the US and another superpower. Both games involve huge losses on the US side, but of course Modern Warfare 2 is set in modern times, i.e. 2016, while Black Ops 2 is set in the now near future of 2025, but also interstrings flashbacks to the Cold War in the 1980s. Both games switch between the perspective of two characters, more on them later, with Modern Warfare 2 following Gary Roach Sanderson and the boys in Task Force 141 in the pursuit of Russian ultranationalist Vladimir Makarov and eventually American General Shepard, but also puts you in the boots of Private Ramirez, a ranger on the ground fighting back the Russian invasion of the US. This game's plot is a pretty good one, although possibly a tad overrated in my opinion. Of course it's got plenty of iconic moments, no Russian and how it sparks a whole war, the gradual pursuit of Makarov which takes us to mountains, favelas, and eventually a gulag where we come face to face with a familiar friend, the eventual betrayal of Shepard and murder of Ghost and Roach, which all culminates in Price and Soap killing him in the grand finale and lining up its sequel, Modern Warfare 3. This may just be a war story on the surface, but there's no doubt it's a damn good one at that. Black Ops 2 on the other hand, I mean, what can I say? Black Ops 2 follows both Alex Mason in the 1980s, the protagonist of the first Black Ops game, and his son David Mason in 2025, as they pursue both cartel boss and eventual revolutionary leader of Cortes Dia, Raul Menendez, and how he eventually turns 2 billion of the world's population against the US, and almost, or does, instigate a global conflict, depending on your ending. The split between these two timelines is great, as it shows Raul Menendez's gradual rise to power, but also his motivation for hating the US, whether it be the fact that the CIA killed his father, or the accidental death of his sister at the hands of a grenade thrown by Frank Woods. Like Modern Warfare 2, this plot has its fair share of twists and turns. From the reveal of Solarium, and how it's basically a supercomputer the size of a can of Bud Light, the betrayal of Salazar, all the way down to the multiple endings. Although both have compelling plots, to me, this point has to go to Black Ops 2. Modern Warfare 2 does have its moments of genuine shock and horror that do pique the player's interest, but it is just essentially another World War III plot. While Black Ops 2, yes, it is essentially just the Cold War 2.0, delves into more interesting topics and settings, such as the impact of the actions of the CIA, and the semi-unlikely but nonetheless interesting idea of a global revolution against capitalism. The characters of these two games? Okay, I think we all do have to accept something here. The characters in the Modern Warfare series have always been slightly more iconic than those of the Black Ops series. That's not to say the characters of Black Ops 2 are necessarily bad, but personally I never felt as if the characters of David Mason or Hudson really held a candle to the likes of Captain Price or Soap. Woods is definitely the highlight here, with his no shits given attitude even in his later years, and I will say this, I do think Raul Menendez is a much better villain than Makarov, actually having decent motivations and being a calculated genius, compared to Makarov just being another neo-fascist. But again, I think the likes of Shepard being revealed to be the de facto villain, with his motivations being linked back to the nuke in the first Modern Warfare game, alongside icons like Sergeant Foley and Ghost, who are just cool. Give Modern Warfare 2 the slight edge in this department. Gameplay. Well, it's kinda important, huh? The gameplay of a Call of Duty game, if I'm being honest, never really a masterpiece of design. It's simple, but fun. The way you want a game design to sell millions to be. Modern Warfare 2's gameplay definitely embodies this. No customization or crazy abilities, just the guns you're given, a few explosives, and the occasional balls to the wall driving section, such as the snowmobile chase, or the final boat chase. But in general, it's just standard gunplay throughout various environments such as the favelas of Rio, the streets of the suburban eastern USA, or even the grounds of the White House. The levels are of course largely linear, but not too constricting to the point where you don't feel in control of what you're doing. Is the gunplay simple? Yes, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's not fun. Now Black Ops 2 on the other hand, I mean, there's a lot more here. Pre-level class creation is a thing, which is pretty cool, although largely superfluous, as you probably will run out of ammo for these guns within about 5 minutes. Levels are a bit more open, although not to a huge extent. However, this game truly shines in its implementation of new technologies. The setting of the near future 2025 gave the developers free rein to add all sorts of gadgets and gizmos to aid in your fight. From things like the millimeter scanner, all the way up to the roar and dragonfire, really allows this game to shine and stand out from the crowd without being too in your face like later Call of Duty games. This paired with the switch back to older weapons in the 1980s levels with Alex Mason, and cool levels like the deck of the USS Obama, the deserts of Afghanistan, or the floating city of Colossus, and that's without even mentioning the game's Strike Force missions. Optional missions, which although are just basic FPS strategy missions, are still nonetheless fun. To me, it's an easy win for Black Ops 2 here. Although the campaign is shorter than Modern Warfare 2's, the implementation of the gameplay features that I've already mentioned, paired up with unique Strike Force missions, give it the edge here and grant it the win for the campaign section. Multiplayer is of course a key feature of any Call of Duty game. A Call of Duty game with a bad multiplayer is just a recipe for disaster. Thankfully, these two have some of the best multiplayers not just for Call of Duty games, but possibly for FPS games in general. Starting off with the general gameplay of both of these multiplayers, Modern Warfare 2's multiplayer has always been known for its complete and utter chaotic nature. This is fun, but also frustrating at the same time if you're a newer player. Noob tubes, quick scoping, last stand, there's a lot in this game to annoy players. Which isn't saying this multiplayer isn't fun, it's just an experience you definitely need to adjust to. It does however embody the true nature of classic Xbox Live. A prime example of this is when I had a pretty terrible game and received this message from a random guy in the lobby. Never mind that this guy is probably about 23 and is still messaging people about their KDs in a 13-year-old game. But hey, he's keeping the spirit of old Modern Warfare 2 alive. Oh, and the kill streaks in this game, yeah, they're pretty insane. From the ever-present Predator missile, also known as the Flying Prince Andrew, to the Harrier strike, all the way up to the nuke. There is no denying this game had the best kill streaks. Black Ops 2 on the other hand is a bit more toned down. Yes, we still have quick scoping, kill streaks are still quite overpowered, but not as much so, and overall it's a bit more of a chilled out experience, which I do personally prefer. Some of you may call this boring, and yes, it is slower paced, although the spawns are even more bullshit. This multiplayer still isn't balanced per se, but it doesn't have things like stopping power, which fuck that perk, and it doesn't have death streaks, which again, big win for me personally. Pair this with the new party modes like gun game and one in the chamber, and for me, Black Ops 2 just slightly edges Modern Warfare 2 in the basic multiplayer gameplay department. Yes, I know Modern Warfare 2 has absolutely insane kill streaks, and many people adore the sheer chaos that goes on in this game, but to me personally, Black Ops 2 just offers a more toned down and fun experience. Yeah, that one's gonna get me a lot of hate. Customization is a key component of any Call of Duty game. It's what makes the series, or at least made the series, stand out from all the other games that just handed you a weapon and said, have at it. Modern Warfare 2 gives us as the player a lot more than its predecessor, not only in its arsenal, but also created class as a whole. The introduction of equipment and all the explosives that it offers, more attachments and camos, perks, death streaks, and arguably the best arsenal of any Call of Duty game, with classics such as the Intervention, ACR, Vector, and of course the infamous Akimbo 1887s. And that's without even mentioning the sheer amount of call signs that you can unlock, making Modern Warfare 2 a hard act to beat. Black Ops 2 is the pick 10 system. I hate this. Yeah, okay, I do get the idea of the pick 10 system, how it makes players think more thoroughly about their loadout and ask questions like whether you'd like another attachment or another perk. But in all honesty, for me personally, it just makes me less creative with my classes, and every single time I just end up dropping my secondary in favour of another perk. Guns in this game are of course a lot more futuristic, seeing as it is 2025, which does make them more unique, but arguably less memorable. But we still have a few classics like the AN-94, M27, MSMC, and Ballista. Calling cards and emblems of course return, alongside the emblem creator from Black Ops 1, which was primarily just used to make lewd pictures or racist emblems, so take that as you will. And of course more camos, including some DLC ones arrive, but I have to give the point to Modern Warfare 2 for the more streamlined creator class system and a better arsenal of weapons. Maps are an integral part of any FPS multiplayer, especially Call of Duty, with the series having produced numerous icons over the years, from Nuketown all the way up to the more modern Kill House. But Modern Warfare 2 and Black Ops 2 are special particularly due to the fact that they possess some of the best maps in the franchise's history. But which ones are truly better? Side note, I'm not going to be including DLC maps in this lineup. Both these games' maps are designed pretty similarly. 3-lane maps, no fancy levolution, just basic everyday Call of Duty maps. So when it comes to comparing them, it basically all comes down to preference. And in this case, a lot of my all-time favourite Call of Duty maps are from Black Ops 2. Hijacked, Standoff, Slums, Carrier, all classics that I recall spending hours playing as a kid. However, Black Ops 2 does have a lot of mediocre maps, and downright not great ones too. Aftermath, Cargo, Overflow, Meltdown are all examples of maps that are not so good. I've also heard a fair amount of people complain about Yemen, but I personally like that map. Modern Warfare 2's maps, at least in my opinion, have a better average of good maps across the board. Of course there's greats like Rust, High Rise, Terminal are all classics, but even the more mid-tier maps like Skid Row, Invasion, and even Afghan hold up a lot better than a good few of Black Ops 2's maps, both in terms of design and gameplay. So the point and round goes to Modern Warfare 2, leaving the score at 1 apiece heading into the final round. Spec Ops vs Zombies. This is going to be a fun one. No points here, just a straight up comparison of the two modes. Cause in all honesty, I couldn't come up with topics to compare them on, so let's just give this a go. Spec Ops is essentially just challenges, using levels from the campaign as its basis, but instead approaches them from different angles, such as an alternate version of All Gillied Up, or having to kill 10 juggernauts with explosives in the favelas. For a more in-depth look at Modern Warfare 2 Spec Ops, I do have this video from well over 2 years ago. Probably not one of my finest videos, as it was one of my first, but still worth a watch if you're interested. Now Spec Ops may just be challenges, but that's not to say there's not plenty to do here. After all, we do have 23 missions, all of which I've completed on Veteran, and let me be one of the many people to tell you that that is absolute hell to do. There's easily at least 10 hours of gameplay amongst these missions, and although some are frustrating, most of them are still pretty fun to try and get a good time in, such as Big Brother, Hidden, Terminal, and armor piercing. Now even with all that said, some of you may still ask, how does this even hold a candle to zombies? Well, you do have to remember that Black Ops 2 launched with two of the worst zombie maps ever made, Transit and Nuketown Zombies, the latter of which is arguable if it's even part of the game, but my game came with it, so I'm gonna count it. Of course, pretty much all of us know about the zombies mode as a whole. Kill zombies, buy perks, open doors, and do Easter eggs, but Black Ops 2 is the game that took zombies from a simple concept to holy shit, I need to do 40 things now just to unlock Pack-a-Punch. Yeah, for me personally, I've always more so been a fan of the more simple zombies of Black Ops 1. It's just much more simple, get a good setup, survive. But there's no denying that there's a lot more to do in Black Ops 2 Zombies, even if it's only on Transit, which granted is a big map, it's just ass, and Nuketown Zombies, which has the opposite problem, it's small, but it's still ass. But if you play these maps with friends, yeah, by god, the zombies blow Spec Ops out of the water, no matter how bad these two maps are. And if we were to throw in the DLC maps, it would be an easy clean sweep for zombies. I know Spec Ops has its fun moments, and yes, there are a lot more missions, but it's kinda quality over quantity, with a few of these Spec Ops missions just being one and dones, and the mode as a whole simply can't replicate the replayability that Zombies has, regardless of what map you play. So there you have it, Black Ops 2 is the winner, and takes the throne as the ultimate Call of Duty game. If you disagree, which I'm sure many of you will do so, feel free to leave your opinions in the comments below. No doubt a few of you will also call me out on points I've missed. I probably missed one or two things off the top of my head. Theater mode in Black Ops 2 maybe? But with all that said, I'd like to thank you all for watching, especially if you got to this far in the video without wanting to throw me off a terror block. But with that said, I'll see you guys next time.